We don't have the music, unfortunately. He's an NBA champion, Pelicans color analyst, Sirius XM NBA radio host. Antonio, we apologize for not having your theme song.
Oh, man, you know what? I'm not that much of a diva. It's all good, man. What's up, fellas?
What's
I
happening?
know
Hey,
you're seasoned, man. This is ready. If we could see you, you'd be seasoned, I'm sure.
hey,
But
No, I'm good. I
it's
am
all
good.
good. But hey, I got your Pelicans watching that last. What was that? Before we get to the Nets and Kevin Durant's return, what was that from the Pelicans?
A team right now that is physically broken. You know, you're without Brandon Ingram. You're without Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is averaging 20 points a game as a starter. You're without Kyra Lewis, who has been playing great as of late. And you're basically trying to win right now with guys that just arrived or someone from the G League. And what teams are doing right now when Zion's playing is they're focusing all their attention on Zion. That's why duos are so important. Duos or trios are so important in today's NBA because you can't focus on one guy.
Antonio, we've been hearing, speaking of Zion, and I want to stay on him for a little while. We've been hearing all these comparisons to Shaq because, you know, the numbers, the 20-point games, 25 straight, right? 20 or more,
Right.
or 50+% shooting. That was broken last night. He equaled Shaq's record. But I think these comparisons are a little premature. Zion's great, but I don't think it's fair to him to be comparing him to Shaq. What are your thoughts?
I haven't seen very many people compare him to Shaq. Like, it's not their games that they're comparing.
Right.
What they're comparing is the dominance. You know, Rick Carlisle said,
he brought it up.
Zion is a Shaquille O'Neal force of nature with a point guard skill set. And I don't know if there's a better compliment that you can receive. But no one's comparing him to Shaq saying they have similar games. They're comparing just the numbers, just the dominance as far as history goes. You know, like you just said, the 25 straight with 20 points per game, but it's not just that. It's the efficiency that he's doing it. And Shaq was 7'1". Zion 6'5", 6'6", doing that same thing, which speaks to his dominance.
Are you seeing sorry, because I wanted to stay with Zion. I know you want to go to the Nets. Are you seeing teams yet as he brings the ball up the court just back off and, you know, try to keep him out of the paint and just dare him to shoot? Yep. Yeah, so how is he handling? Is he still able to just get by guys, or what is he doing with that?
You know, the thing about Zion that's amazing to me is a lot of people are trying to do that, exactly what you just said, Chris. They're trying to back off. And he does such a good job of taking up that space. And when he hits the launch pad, it's over. So they run pick and rolls and they run low pick and rolls. And he's not settling for jump shots because he can get to the rim. I honestly believe that him and Kyrie Irving are the best two tough layup makers in the league. They go about it different ways, but the way that they can contort their body, put English on the ball, and have such a soft touch around that rim, it's amazing.
You were out front on the Nets when they got hard and liked you know, from day one, where other people were saying, oh, they can't play defense, it's not going to work, they can't put these three together. And we no Harden last night, and obviously, but Durant comes back, and what do you have, 17 points in 18 minutes or whatever, 19 minutes or whatever, and didn't miss a shot. I mean, when you add, he looked great last night, and when you add him to the mix, tell me, did he not make you even more confident in that when they have their trio together, they'll be almost impossible to beat 4 out of 7 in any series?
Okay, this is the conversation we had on our Sirius XM radio show today. And I'll say it again here. I have a hard time finding a team in history with that kind of firepower. Right. I think they have more firepower than any team in the history of the sport. And now, again, I'm not saying that they're the best team. I'm not saying that overall. I'm talking about purely, strictly on firepower alone. They have the best 3 one-on-one players in the league. However you want to rank them, they have the top 3 one-on-one players in the league. Then once you get past those 3, then you have LaMarcus Aldridge, who's still playing at a extremely high level.
He looks good.
Right.
Well,
And
especially
you
with
have
those
Blake
stars
Griffin.
drawing attention. Right.
Right. And you have Blake Griffin. And you have Joe Harris. I honestly believe this. I think their firepower, and I said this last night on our telecast, I think this is the best firepower and the most firepower that I've seen on any team throughout the history of the sport. I can't see any team, the way they're currently constructing, beating this Brooklyn Nets team 4 out of 7 times.
What do you think? And it's hard to argue with what you just said because, you think back to Shaq, Kobe, and remember Glenn Rice. But Glenn Rice wasn't going to take you off the dribble like all three of the, and then obviously Shaq wasn't shooting threes and Kobe wasn't even really shooting a lot of threes. Kareem was older for the most part, for most of Showtime.
We went through, you know what, today, we went through a ton of teams today where people kept calling in and throwing teams out. Tell us the comparison
with Golden State, because obviously they had 3 great offensive players too.
Okay, I'll give you the comparison with Golden State. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the top 3 are a wash. Let's just say it's a wash. Because you have Klay Thompson, you have Steph Curry, you have Kevin Durant. And on the other side, you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. Let's say it's a wash. What separates Brooklyn is the next 3 guys. Because remember, we're just talking about getting buckets. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about bucket getters. Go back to Golden State. Who is your next 3 for Golden State?
Draymond. Oh, no, wait a minute.
Is even in the next 3.
No, he's not in the next 3, right?
It was probably, you're right,
Iguodala, yeah.
I mean, Bogut was
Sean
there, part of
Livingston,
it.
Harrison
Sean
Barnes.
Livingston.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And what you're working with in Brooklyn is LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, and Joe Harris. It's not just the top 3. It's the 3 after the top 3 that separates Brooklyn for me.
What if you could, somewhat realistically, not just throwing anybody up, but a Bradley Beal maybe could be on the move. Steph will be a free agent in a year. Like Dame, a realistic, because I think, Antonio, if the Nets not only win it, but if they just kind of run through everybody, maybe win the finals in 5, lose a game or 2 in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Yeah, or 4. Like, I think the fun thing to watch is going to be, okay, what team can try to build a super team to compete with them? And like the Lakers, the Clippers, like, is there a somewhat, not totally realistic, but somewhat realistic group you'd like to see that is it Dame going to the Lakers, Steph going to, something like that?
For me, you can see teams trying to do it now. And I'm not talking about super teams. I'm talking about just building a team constructed to compete against Brooklyn. You can see what Milwaukee's thought process is. They go out and get P.J. Tucker. They go out and get Drew Holiday. They did that for a reason. They go out and get those guys so you can play and match up with and put Giannis at the 5. And you can put Portis at the 4 or P.J. Tucker at the 4 and Drew Holiday at the 3. And so teams are actually starting to do it right now. And honestly speaking, we talk about the Lakers and the Clippers. The Lakers right now are the front runners to come out of the West, but I think the Clippers are a better matchup against the Brooklyn Nets.
I do too.
Those wing defenders.
Yep.
Right. So I don't know. When we start talking about building super teams, it's difficult to imagine Dame Lillard leaving Portland or Steph Curry leaving Golden State. Yeah. That's kind of tough to imagine. That's hard to think about. But in today's NBA, it would not surprise me one bit.
What do you think about Denver? They're 6-0 with Aaron Gordon. I mean, do they have a shot in the West and maybe against Brooklyn?
Yeah, they definitely have a shot, and they have a shot because of the way that they are currently constructed. They have Jokic, and this is today's NBA. It's a positionless league. I'm not telling you guys something you don't know. It's not a point guard, a 2 guard, a 3-man, a 4, and a 5.
Right.
You basically have a very, very skilled 5-man, and you put your best playmakers around it. That's what the NBA is now. So now you have Michael Porter Jr. and you have Aaron Gordon. And Aaron Gordon, that's a great pickup for them because it gave them an opportunity to kind of replace Jeremy Grant when he left. You go out and get JaVale McGee to replace Plumlee, what Plumlee brought to the table, even though JaVale McGee hasn't played a whole lot yet. But now they have a number of wing defenders that they can throw at these guys from Brooklyn. Or they can throw at these guys from L.A., the Clippers, or the Lakers. Denver is definitely a team that we don't talk about, similar to the Utah Jazz.
Right.
The Utah Jazz, we haven't given them credit all year.
Right. And you saw Phoenix. That was a great game last night. I mean, again, and we know they're really good teams. Could you see these teams winning the West, though? Like, should we be putting them right there with the Lakers and Clippers as far as a chance to win the West?
And Phoenix, I'll say yes, because they have one of the best leaders and one of the best game managers in the league, and Chris Paul. You know, with the Utah Jazz, the way they play, like they're the best role-defining team in the league. That's why they've had the best record all year. Teams with a condensed and a shortened season, you don't get as much practice time. But it doesn't matter to Utah because there was no turnover in the offseason. All they added was Derek Favors, who was there prior to. So it wasn't a whole lot of turnover. If I had to pick one of those teams to compete and challenge, I would pick Phoenix because of Chris Paul and his ability to control and manage a game.